Hey guys, Tyler Mahoney here with Truman Lake Fishing Intel. We are back again for another edition of the Truman Lake Fishing Intel Expert Roundtable. Got a great crew of guys and a special guest tonight. Joined today by Jeff Falkenberry here all the way over on my left of Endless Season Guide Service, Richard Bowling of Richard Bowling's Guide Service, Darren Langford, bass fishing extraordinaire, and our special guest, J.B. Gray, who is on the Clinton bass fishing team, and he's going to tell us a little bit about that. He's been big into the kayak fishing world and traveled around, but he's got some good insight on the kayak fishing on Truman Lake, and he's got some good stories to share with us. So stay tuned for that. As always, we want to start off this video by thanking Nini's Italian Steakhouse and Catering for providing food each and every month for us for these get-togethers. We really appreciate them. They are based out of Warsaw, Missouri. You can stop right on in. And if you are a member of TrumanLakeFishingIntel.com, they offer a free appetizer. You just got to show them your account page on your phone and you're good to go. Also want to thank Anglers Port Marine, located right between Clinton and Warsaw, Missouri. Phoenix Boats, Camus Boats, Low Boats, and really exciting news out of Anglers Port Marine. They are doing a deal in 2023 with Anglers in Action Tournament Trail, which already pays $10,000 for first place. Anglers Port Marine is matching that. So if you are running, and if you're running a Phoenix boat, I think there's $7,000 incentive in Phoenix. So if you win an Anglers in Action event next year, you stand to win $27,000.
Over 60 boats, which should happen.
Yeah. So pretty cool incentive.
I'm just gonna go win 3 or 4 of those.
Yeah. There you go. And you're set.
That bass fishing's easy for you.
You catch them on accident.
Yeah. That's right. If you follow.
Can you use minnows?
Well, you get away with it.
Yeah, exactly. So really cool deal that Anglers Port Marine is doing, and really excited to talk that up. And if you are in the bass fishing tournament world, that is something to get really excited about. And go put in the work, and you might just walk home with $27,000 in your pocket when you win that field.
That's pretty legit. And I know you're still thinking some sponsors, but Darren's been doing this a long time. We've been around it a long time, and we remember, or I remember, but like the old Redmans and the Woods and Waters and the big turnouts, and then there was like this rapid decline in bass tournament fishing, and it plateaued, and like everybody was fishing still, but it was like, it doesn't pay crap. Like you can't get ahead fishing tournaments on Truman Lake. And now here we are, like back on this rise of empire.
Yep.
Explain that.
I think it has a lot to do with the crappie tournaments. Because the crappie tournaments, when the bass went down, crappie come in and you could win a lot more money fishing crappie than you could bass. And I mean, plain and simple, you don't need as much stuff to fish crappie.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You take $100 out there and you can fish for crappie.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And bass, you don't need all that stuff for bass either, but we all think we got to have $40,000 for tackle
Yeah.
in our $80,000 boat so we can catch a bass. But I think that pushed people to actually start pushing this bass to come back. They're gonna have to do something. Boats have gotten so expensive, fuel's gotten expensive. That caused a lot of the decline.
Sure.
And it's,
Sure.
I think with this, it's firing people back up. I mean, anybody's got a shot to win.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And the fishery, back you go down to Bucksaw and you see the stringer that I think John Mangum caught it. The guys used to, Marvin Decker, Steve Prince, some of these old guys that were like 25, 30-pound sacks, 32-pound sacks. And then it started to tail off, and then it took 15 or 18 to win for a while. And then now we're back up to 22, 24, 25 in July and August, So I think maybe the fishery as well has to have something to do with it.
It did. It changed a bunch. It's really changed. I mean, as you lost limbs and your green stuff started changing to dead, and back when them guys fished, it was all green.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, everybody blew up Tebow.
Yeah.
Run up the Grand River, get in the strip pits, or up Deepwater Creek or whatever.
16, 17 foot of water to blow the flat, and now you better make sure there's a foot of water on top of it when it's 2 foot high.
Right.
For
Is
having
there
an airboat.
still a creek bite like that? Like not like it used to be, because it won't be like it used to be because it's silted in. You know, you got to be able to get across Barker Creek, you know, in some of the areas. But used to, guys would blow and go from Sterrett Creek to Old Sea Highway.
Yeah.
And is there still a creek by it like what used to be?
The Grand is hurt worse than any of the other arms. You take Tebow Creek, there's still good by Tebow Creek. There's a lot of tournaments, still get one in Tebow Creek, still get one in Barker Creek. There's the river, Palmy River, still gets one there. And when it gets up to a foot high in the Osage, then all them creeks and rivers start coming in effect. But Grand took such a hit that silt just about killed the Grand Bite. Deepwater Creek used to be, there'd be 10, 15 tournaments, one a year.
Yeah, I mean, they'd run way up past the bluffs.
Oh, yeah,
I mean,
way
all
past
the way up.
all the way to Low Water Bridge.
Yeah.
But not now. You can't do anything. That water has to be way high to get there, and it's pretty well fished out. You know, it's
Yeah.
just a big pond now, or a big lake, and it's just fished out.
And there's not a lot between A and B. If
You
you,
make
say,
that
I'm going to
decision,
make that run,
you're done.
You're sticking to it.
Well, I've been in tournaments where we run to Martinville Bridge, you know, from Sterrett Creek, and you'll get up there and have a little bit of current or something just come from somewhere, and you're like, oh boy,
We're done.
made that big old long run for no reason,
Yeah.
and that's not a fun run
Yeah.
to run up through that windy thing,
No.
especially during duck season, and that's when it is, that early duck season, and you're dodging duck decoys on top of everything.
Yeah, that's talking about that silt. Where's a lot of that come from? Do you think that duck lakes and things like that play a part when everybody drains?
I think everybody drains and causes that current. That don't help. Plus, you know, there's a lot more stuff's farmed
Yeah.
now, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
And, you know, the farming's gotten big,
Yeah.
but it's caught a lot of silt. Because you look at your topo maps, it'll say 16 feet of water. And that's what I tell a lot of people when they put in a Sparrowfoot. They're like, oh man, that's a great big open area.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that thing's 6, 8 foot deep. You can
Yeah.
touch the bottom in most
Yeah.
of them spots if you fall off a set of skis.
Like fishing a city lake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, so you got to watch it up there and watch your topo maps when you get in the upper ends.
Well, some of the old timers, you know, was always like, well, spawning cover. We lost all the spawning cover. We lost all the spawning cover. Well, we flooded in 15 in the fall and the winter. That blew everything off the banks. Then we come back on a 4-year beat down after that. Then we have 19, which is like a record flood since 93. And so spawning cover, really, I can't see that being a huge factor when we have all these floods that wash the banks every time.
Truman's coming back in, what was it, been 19, I guess, when they had that, wasn't that spring?
Yeah.
Spring.
Yeah.
There was a tremendous spawn for bass.
Yeah, agreed. Everything.
I mean, it was, every bush had 150, 200 bass in
Yes.
every bush this long.
Yeah.
And you're seeing in these tournaments a whole bunch of them 13-pound limits. And you used to only see 11s, 10s and 11s, and now you're seeing 13s and 14s. There's a lot of tournaments in that 13, 14 range, a lot of stringers. And guys are talking about catching 20, 30, 40 bass in that 2.5 to 2
Yeah.
3/4 range.
Yeah, I
which
mean,
will
dudes
put you at
posting
that.
YouTube videos fishing Joe Bass, and they're just ripping them on buzzbaits.
Oh yeah, just smoking them. And that's just a sign of,
And that's 2.5, two and a
Yeah.
half, 3 pounders.
but there's a place between there, you know, that them 2.5, 2 3/4, and then it jumps up to the bigger fish. And I think the bigger fish are the ones that took the whooping,
Took the hit.
took the hit. So there's a gap. But I think you'll see it next year and the year after that really come on.
Yeah, so your crystal ball, you're saying next year, 23, 24, 25, you're going to start seeing more 25, 26, 27 pound bags.
I think that's what you're going to see. And and the only way you're going to keep that up is having good spawns. We
Sure.
can't have these floods and then dropping the bottom out of the lake during the spawn. It just doesn't work.
Right.
That's terrible for the spawning fish. But as long as we can keep filling that gap, because what they say, bass 6 to 8 years on Truman. You know what they said? The bass lives on Truman
Yeah.
6 to 8 years.
Yeah.
I mean, you have a couple bad years, it's going to hurt you.
Yeah. And like this year where we were at a record low, I mean, I can tell you just from being a cat fisherman, I can tell you in June, typically really terrible catfish bite. They're spawning. It just kind of goes to crap. Lake super low. Shad hatch. I don't think the shad. We have a lot of shad. Always going to have a lot of shad. I don't think the shad hatch was as premier this year as it normally is.
agree.
And I was catching fish in June that were strictly eating crappie.
Yeah.
Strictly. I was catching fish on hedgerows. They were eating crappie.
Yeah.
Now, there wasn't any shad to be found. I would catch bait before I go catch those fish. They were eating crappie, but they were this year's crappie, and lots of them.
Yeah.
So when that bottom falls out and those fry have fewer places to hide, they get eaten.
They get eaten.
They take a hit.
Crappie are eating the bass.
But I've
Bass
just
are
been
eating the
thinking.
crappie.
Yeah.
I don't put too much thought into bass fishing, but but you know, looking back and reflecting on that, because I've watched it. You know, just like him, he's seen it, forever, and just watched that go down, plateau a little bit, and now it's on this big spike, and we see Brock and Jelinek winning these 24, 23 pounds, you know, in July and August. It's like, here it comes back again. So I just wanted your take. Host your show, Tyler.
No, that was great. That was awesome. Good stuff. And we're going to get into a lot more of that here momentarily. The last couple things I wanted to mention, for those of you that are sticking around to watch this whole thing, we're doing a giveaway of the Jinko 2-piece 8-foot rod, crappie rod. How do you enter? Well, if you're watching this video, you're seeing it on Facebook, be sure to share that video. Uh-oh, we got the pups that are joining our video now. But you're gonna share this video, and you're also gonna comment 3 names in the comments section here on this video. And that'll enter you to win. We'll pick a winner, and we'll figure out a way to get it to you. But Jinko Fishing 8-foot rod, probably a pretty good little casting rod.
Yep.
So appreciate the donation, and we're gonna give it away. So that's the instructions. Share this video when you see it. Tag 3 people in the comments. You're entered. And then the last announcement before we start getting into all the latest fishing stuff. There is a really cool charity fishing tournament coming up in September. We'll talk about it again on the next Expert Roundtable. It's the Compass Health Big Fish Bright Future Tournament, September 17th. There's an article that we have posted up on the website where you can learn more on how to enter, all the rules. Jeff is the MC. He's been MCing it for quite a few years. It's an event that's kind of near and dear to our hearts because of our involvement, but also because my wife Sammy is a dentist up at Compass Health, and the proceeds benefit dental health care for children, underserved kids that need help getting the dental care that they need. So it's near and dear to our hearts, and if you're interested in learning more and participating in that, you can go to TrumanLakeFishingIntel.com, head over to the articles section, should be under the resources tab actually in the menu, and you can see all the information there, or you can go to compasshealthnetwork.org and learn more. So be sure to check that out. We appreciate you doing that. With that, we already had some good content there that you guys are talking about the bass fishing and what things are looking like. We're going to come back to the bass fishing. I want to start with crappie, just because crappie fishing in the summertime on Truman Lake is just typically
Stupid easy.
Yeah, pretty lights out. And
We like it like that.
yeah, that's right. Now
We
with
don't need a guide or nothing.
yeah.
Oh, yes, you do.
Oh, you do? Oh, sorry.
With that, we've had it's still been good, but we had the cold front come through with some of those rains last week, and it made things maybe a little bit more challenging. Richard, what's kind of the latest? Are you starting to see it pick back up? What's your feeling on the way it's fishing?
It's picking back up a lot. You know, back a week ago, I was going down the lake toward Long Shoal and fishing for groups of fish, as numbers of fish, and have 100 fish on a tree and catch 3 or 4 out of it and be keepers, maybe not keepers. And man, about 3 nights ago, the water started warming back up. The current had turned and went the other way, and not going up, it's going down a little bit.
Because
Yeah.
there had been back current.
A lot of back current. Back current and crappie, nope, get out of that current. It's
Okay,
going backwards.
I'm going to stop you on back current. For those who maybe haven't even ever seen it, how can you tell that there's back current in the lake?
That day, all you had to do is look at a tree and it's going upriver. I was
Okay.
on the Grand Arm, put in a bucks on, the water's going backwards. And anytime I pulled in and I was facing,
Away from the dam.
I was facing upriver, and the water was going upriver, and my boat, and the wind coming out of the southwest, and turned my boat and went upriver. And when you got that much current, they're not going to be there, I guarantee it.
Yeah.
You got to get in the creek, get in a pocket, get somewhere out of that current to catch them. That's what I did. I had to go down by Long Shoal to catch them, and I got in a little old spot, and we hammered them, but no current in there. And But now the currents go the other way. I'm going upriver in 5-6 foot of water, and I seen 2 days ago. It was an acre of crappie. It was unbelievable.
Mm.
And you drop on them with a minnow, and they might run, and you catch a few of them. But I kept thinking, man, they got to be more fish than this one eating that. So I picked up a little bitty jig, and I tied it on mono. It's a 10-pound mono. And I'd flip that out there with that 14-foot pole and just bring it across top. And every single cast, I caught a fish.
Mm.
Caught a fish or lost a fish. Little bitty jig. It didn't weigh 1/32, little bitty. But the trip that I had could not get that out there and watch it. You can't really see it good on the live scope to see it go down, but the bite up there now is getting really good. I had 2 trips out yesterday and 5 to 9 foot of water and smoked them both trips. So
Yeah.
bite's getting good.
Yeah. Now, the numbers of fish, when you said you saw an acre, was that pretty shallow water too, you said?
5 foot of water that was
Really?
from the bottom up 2 feet off the bottom. And I mean, I'm shooting out 30 feet. So you jack with these and you move up a little, jack with these and just kept going.
Yeah.
And it's in places that you wouldn't think to look, but just out of a whim, I just kind of got on a big flat, is a main lake flat, got over there, and I'm telling you, it's all good crappie and a lot of big black crappie.
Was there much structure that they were sitting around?
No, they was wide open water.
Really?
Yeah, there's some on structure, but there's a lot of fish. There was so many fish that they wasn't all on structure. There was just a big old flat there, and I mean it's flat.
Yeah. But the key was pitching it out, keeping it above them, and letting it fall
If you
above
could, yeah. And I tried a bigger jig, tried to swim it across. They'd come up and look, and they'd go back down. But that little bitty jig just fluttered in there. They could not say no.
So when you say little bitty, because when we're doing fishing reports, I try to be as specific as I can. Obviously, you guys know when you say a little bitty, a big jig. What exactly do you mean by little bitty? Like a little 32nd ounce?
It's probably a 32nd ounce and an 1.5-inch long hair jig that
Okay.
the boys made a couple of winters ago. I just tied it on, just try something different.
Yeah.
And you'd almost have to throw it like a fiber, just pitch it, and you can see it hit the water out there. And then if I know what to look for, and I can kind of see it going through. But then you see them crappie come up, and you know what's happening. It's pretty easy then.
Yeah. So pretty good bite on the Grand. You had spent some time on the Osage in the last week, and it was okay there.
The Osage is good. I'd soon be going there. It's a little better probably, and there's not as many boats, but when you do 2 trips a day, you got to pull out, bury it down, clean your fish, put back in. It's kind of a pain in the butt. So then you got to haul fish off. So I've been on the Grand. The Osage arm is really good.
Yeah. Well, and it sounds like, from what I hear from Jelinek, they're getting them on the crappie bomb with the minnow
Yes.
down there in some deeper water.
On that lower end.
Yeah. There's a lot of good brush piles down there too.
That's the fish I've been catching down there on that lower end, Long Shoal, down to State Park.
Yeah.
So many numbers down there. Unreal.
Yeah.
I found an umbrella, and I put it on Facebook about a week ago. It's an umbrella that flew out of a boat, and it's upside down, and you can see every web on it. And that thing is so full of fish right now, it's unbelievable.
And how long has that been there?
I found it with a 360 about 4, 5, 6 years ago, and I just kind of tweaked it a little bit more with the live scope. It's been there a long time.
Yeah.
But it's upside down, so it's got a little silt in it. But you can see where the little arms come up and all the webbing. The webbing's still on it.
That's pretty wild.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is really cool. Jeff, you been doing any crappie trips or all catfish?
Oh, I had all catfish this week. The week before, I had 1 catfish, all crappie.
Okay.
I was catching those fish on the lower lake, like he said, the numbers of fish, and the water was still down then. We had the big shoot up on Thursday or Friday or whatever it was, but the water was still down then. I was fishing 21 to 23 feet of water, big trees. Most of them you couldn't see; they were under the water.
Yeah.
They were big along the edge of the main channel.
Mm-hmm.
They'd swing in the mouths of the coves, and all those trees were loaded.
And are these trees that have a lot of those big branches on them?
Yeah. Some of them, most of the branches are short. They don't extend out. A couple of them do, but most of them are short. But like he said, though, there'd be 150 to 300 crappie on one. You might pull up, catch 3, or you might pull up, catch 15.
Mm-hmm.
But when they quit, they quit.
Yeah.
That's it. And you can get a whole bunch of them to follow it, but they ain't gonna get it. So you just go to the next tree and come back 20 minutes later and catch 5 more.
What's up with that? They just get educated that quick and averse to the pressure?
I think they just figure out something's not right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
And they're full of shad.
Yeah.
They crap all over you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's real bad. It's all over my boat.
Yeah. Oh, is that the umbrella?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pretty cool.
But it, you run through it, and then you turn around, you run through it again,
Yeah.
and then you turn around and you run through it again, and you're
Yeah.
done. But you'll catch fish every time.
Yeah.
I mean, almost every single time. And you won't wait or have to fish or have to watch one at a time. As soon as you drop in, you're getting bit.
Yeah.
As soon as the next guy drops in, he gets bit. You'll know when they quit, and then you just move on. Don't sit and jack with them, because that's the downside to live technology. It can slow you down enough it hurts you. So you have to know when to quit.
Yeah.
The fish will tell you when to quit. And you can drop in on them schools like that. And you got 100 fish right here, and one from down below will run through the pack and get it.
Yeah.
So when that guy's coming up here to eat, these up here's not going to eat. So you 3 or 4 more drops, and they're not looking at next tree.
Next tree. But you may come back, run your trees and come back and drop down, and then 2 or 3 of them shoot up and grab it. And
Yeah.
however their little brain works. But just knowing when to quit and go to the next tree, and then run back through it. And sometimes, I'll run back through it. If there's 10 trees I'm hitting, I may only hit 3 of them again.
Yeah.
Because those were the ones where they was really getting.
Right.
What length fish are these you're catching down there?
Down there, I mean, good for down there. You're not measuring anything. 10 to 12 inches, and every now and then you get a 13.
Good eaters.
But good, just good limit
All
crappie.
black.
A lot of blacks. A lot of blacks.
Do you see that 4.5 pounder they weighed in at Bucksaw recently?
Yeah. Yeah. It was caught by Sasquatch.
Yeah, well, for those of you who are on social media, there was a little bit of buzz going around that someone had weighed in the new lake record crappie, 4.5 pounder at Bucksaw. No. At least it's not been verified to this point in time.
They don't even keep records on
One
it.
of us
Yeah.
would have heard firsthand information.
Right.
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 Like you would have known about it.
Correct.
I mean, I would have known about it. I mean,
Right.
we're around there all the time.
Right.
There is not a 4.5 pound crappie in Truman Lake. I'm just here to tell you. There's not.
I mean, in the picture, it looks like a sizable crappie. It could be
Yeah.
2.5 pounders,
Yeah.
but
Two.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But that was just kind of funny. That was making.
That's funny that you mentioned that. Twice this week I had trips asking me if there was a 100-pound catfish in this lake.
And
No. I don't think there's a 100-pounder in there.
They come more
Me
near-
personally, I don't think there's
They
a...
come more near being a 100 pound catfish than a 4.5 pound crappie.
Yeah.
haven't you heard of the scuba diver that dove down at the dam and
Yeah.
said that he would never dive down there again from the
Yeah.
fish that he saw?
That was on the Osage River. I just really don't think there's a 100-pounder out here. Deep down in my heart, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Probably sturgeon.
I think, there's some 70s and 80s which we don't see. I had some buddies catching 83 or 81 last year on a jug over on the Osage out of Tally, but I don't even know if we've seen a 90.
Yeah.
On the Truman side.
I've never.
And around a lot for a lot of years.
Yeah, I mean, if anyone's gonna hook into one, it's gonna be you or one of the catfish guides.
I mean, there's so many of us that, go through so many fish.
Mhm.
I think we're a great lake for 20 to 40 pounders. Anything over that 40 mark's a true Truman trophy. But I don't think there's a
Yeah.
100-pounder in there.
Yeah. Well, and the MDC just started their evaluation phase. So for folks that are interested in the slot limit and how that all works, it's 26 to 34 inches. You got to throw it back. And it's been going on for 8 years.
7, I think.
7 years. And now there's going to be a 3-year evaluation period. They're going to basically what they're doing is studying to see the impacts of the slot limit. And I know that they ran a bunch of jug lines up by Berry Bend. We put a little report out on it on the website. And they did pretty good on the jugs, but a lot of it from just preliminary informal information. It was a lot of unders. But it's going to be really interesting to see what they determine.
These fish don't grow fast enough for that slot.
Yeah,
That's just bottom line. I've said it for 10 years.
yeah,
Longer than this slot's been in. They just don't grow fast enough. I'm no biologist, but I can tell you I catch a lot. And they just do not grow fast enough.
yeah,
And I think Chris Brooks doing a great job, and I know he's in it. I do wish, when there's a 7-year study, there's a 7-year study. There's
Mhm.
not a 7-year study and then a 3-year study.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how that comes into play, but I think Chris is on the right track, and I kind of know how his mind works, and if it's needs to stay on,
Yeah.
leave it on, and if it doesn't, then he'll take it off. But I can tell you a lot of slot fish right now are getting caught multiple times. It's very, very hard on these fish. When this lake got low, them fish were getting caught a ton. I mean, a ton, and getting hurt.
Yeah.
Hurting these fish. And even me, I mean, I was catching 40 to 60 fish before lunchtime, before we were getting smoked out by the heat. And a lot of those fish we know we'd catch, over and over and over again,
Yeah.
day after day. And numerous times when we were fishing so shallow water that a rod would get hit, the fish would splash, make a V-wake, you wouldn't hook him, he'd make a V-wake, go right over the next line, pick that bait up and slam it. The same fish, you watch it happen.
Yeah.
And they just keep getting caught, and those fish are getting hurt pretty bad hanging on lines and jugs, and even getting rod and reel hooked 4, 5, 6 times.
Yeah.
We're catching a lot of fish with big sores and infections and that green stuff that they get around there, and
Yeah, I wonder if that eventually kills them.
hooks in their face.
Yeah.
I'm sure it'll help them.
Yeah.
So it's just, I don't know. I think there's an angle, but I just don't know I'm no biologist, so
Yeah.
I just don't know if we're on the right track where we're at. I'd rather go back to 5, keep one over 34.
Yeah. Well, some of the little just informal, very small sample size of some of the fish that have been aged, people find very shocking with how old these fish are, and they're only 24 inches long.
Yeah.
And we're talking 20-year-old fish.
Yeah.
And you're going to see data come out on it, and it's going to be interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I love learning about it and learning more about it, and I'm not afraid to admit I'm completely wrong, but I don't think what we've done the last 7 years has been the answer.
Yeah. Well, and on to the actual catfishing itself, it's been pretty
Lights
good.
out.
Yeah.
Lights out, and a wonderful big bite.
Mm-hmm.
Man, when it was real low, well, it was when it was going down, when they were really drawing water and we didn't have any to give, through 707, 706 to 705 to 704, in that 4 feet, you could go catch 50, 60 fish in 3 hours and keep 5. They were just all big slot or
Yeah.
over or whatever. There was just not an eater-sized catfish to be found on the upper end in that shallow water when they were pulling current.
Yeah.
You just couldn't do it. I mean, it was good. It was fun. I mean, it was great fishing. I loved it. My clients loved it. They kept those handful of fish to eat. They were happy with that. We don't have when Richard and I was doing this 6, 8, 9 years ago, we had freezer stockers.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have the freezer stockers like we used to. You'd be amazed how many of my people come and say, just throw 3 in there for supper or whatever, and so when you go out and you're catching that many fish, and a lot of them are big ones and slots and everything else, they're happy with that.
Yeah.
That's a great day. We had a lot of fun. And then now you can go out and catch a bunch of eaters, and you might get an over or whatever, but
Yeah.
we got a little more water and fish are moving on up in there again.
Is there a particular area of the lake where you have a chance of catching more eaters? Like if you go down to the lower end and
No.
drift fish some
You
of the
can do it,
flats?
yeah.
or-
You can go down there. You can go down and get on like 0.1, 03, G10, some of those areas, and get on the back sides of those humps and grab those catfish stacked down in there, and you could almost salmon fish them over the side of the boat, vertical fishing like salmon rigs,
Mhm.
and you can catch the fire out of those eaters. When you find a stack, they don't move.
Yeah.
They just sit there, and you drop baits down in them, and
Yeah.
you can catch all those eaters you want.
Yeah. Well, that's how a lot of the hybrid guys are catching a ton of blue catfish
Yeah.
while they're hybrid fishing with live shad straight down
Yeah.
on humps down there in the dam area up to KK Island.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
do you expect catfishing to remain pretty good? Anything people should be doing in particular here over the next month?
This water's come up. Of course, you're going to catch them on a rise pretty good. It'll peak, and they'll start pulling water again. As soon as it starts going back down, you better be after them. It'll be good.
Yeah. Got it. How do you expect crappie fishing to change really at all over the next, until we do this next video?
Just get better.
Yeah.
Water's gonna warm up, get better.
So in September, we might start talking about what the pattern might start changing to.
Then it
and-
gets really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we'll be looking forward to chatting about it then.
It's so funny to talk about patterns, even through bass, catfish, crappie, all of it, because people ask me all the time, like, what's the best time of year to come? Being a flood control impoundment, the time of year is not as big of a factor as lake conditions.
Mhm.
Water level, yeah.
You know, if the water's, they're running water and pulling current, if it's backing up, if it's sitting still and it's been there for a week, you know, that's what makes the bite what it is.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's in June or September or January. The lake conditions on flood control impoundment is what makes the fishing the fishing. So, you know, when it comes to patterns, it could change, you know?
Yeah. Think you could live scope a blue cat?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have about 5 in the last 2
Yeah.
days or 3 days.
Yeah. I got
Things
some
are on
buddies.
every tree.
I got a buddy in the military on Santee Cooper right now, and he's down there live scoping them with a catfish rod, just doing it one at a time.
What's he dropping down in there? Just a
Shad.
shad?
Cut shed.
Yeah.
You can drop anything. Crappie
Yeah.
jig, they
And
will
you'll see 'em do
absolutely
this.
hammer it.
Yeah.
Or they
yeah.
come and get it and game on.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know when it's happening. But those lake conditions, it just
Yeah.
that's what makes
That's what
don't
does it.
Yeah.
don't get too hung up on patterns for time of year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the thing I tell people, we used to get hung up on clarity. I don't think you need to get hung up on clarity. It's that lake level and what that water's doing.
Mm-hmm.
If it's
Yeah.
holding, if it's raising,
Yeah.
or it's lowering. Period.
We've all said, "Oh man, just like in April, you know, last July, I caught him foot under a bobber." You know, I guarantee you that. Well, Darren did it in a tournament with Hunter this past year. These fish Richard's catching in 5 feet of water right now. I guarantee you could go in there
Oh,
and throw a jig
simple.
under a bobber and whack those fish. You know, before live technology, we'd have been like, "Oh my gosh, these fish are shallow again, like in second spawn." And that's just what they do. Whatever the conditions, the fish adapt to, and now we do the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're learning a lot.
Technology.
Yeah, I don't know. Folks might have to adapt again. They just outlawed live scope in that muskie tournament. I hear some
There's a
chatter.
petition. There's
I
a
hear some
petition going
chatter
around.
about these crappie tournaments. They might be doing away. Maybe there's a live scope division and a non-live scope division.
They tried that, didn't
that,
work.
didn't work.
They had like 2 boats on one side, and it wasn't live scope.
It'll depend on how many signatures they get on that petition to go to the governor's office.
Well, I can promise you one thing, and I'm not knocking anybody, but the leaderboard will change
Yep.
if they do go back to non-live scope.
Yeah.
If they do, there'll be lawsuits out the Wazoo, Garmin, all these guys that's sponsored by these people. You know, they're sponsored by them.
Mhm.
You've got to let them use it's technology. It's like we talked earlier, a farmer using a combine with GPS. It's technology.
Yep.
Let them use it. If you don't want to use it, don't use it. Don't go out and catch no fish.
Mm.
That's your choice. I'm going to go catch fish. I'd rather call it catching than fishing.
Right.
I'm going out to catch fish. I'm not going out to just get the sun.
Right. Right.
Technology. It's going to get better. Right now, you just got a little bit of how good it's going to get. I
Yeah.
guarantee you, Garmin, Humminbird, Lowrance, they've got way better than what we've got.
In the works, yeah.
Yeah, and we were talking about that earlier before the show. With that, what is it called with Humminbird? Target.
Live target lock.
Yeah.
And so tell us a little bit what it is. Like, it will actually stay fixated
So
on.
you've got a separate bracket with a separate pole that your deal's on. You got a separate everything for it, but it just locks into your graph, and whenever you see something you want to stay on, you just hit lock, and then you can control your boat. Right now, we're mounted on our trolling motor shaft,
Mhm.
so if the wind's blowing real hard, we kind of got to bump the boat over, and then we got to find our target again.
Yeah.
Well, this will lock on that target. So if you've got to turn your boat to the left, that thing will automatically just stay locked on the target.
You
So-
know anybody running it besides Fishback?
They're just some of them other guys like that. And
Beaver.
I don't think
Blanket
crappie fishing, it's going to work very good unless you're brush pile fishing. But as far as one pole dropping on them, that's going to be tough to do still, because you know as well as me.
You gotta be Nat's tail.
dead
You gotta be
still.
Nat's tail.
Well, bass fishing is where I think it's going to be a game changer, because them guys are getting that current, And especially like Lake of the Ozarks or some of them, or if you get on Truman, you get in the heavy wind or the waves, and you want to fish a brush pile or fish a big point, you can spot lock that boat and already have your live scope locked on that brush pile. Then you can crawl back to the back of your boat, let your trolling motor run itself. Technology. You don't have to be up there running it. It'll fight that wind for you, and you can just fish. And you can watch it. I mean, it'll be a game changer for bass.
If the petition don't go through.
If the petition don't go through, but I mean, money over does signatures. I promise you.
Yeah.
There's so much money in it.
That's pretty neat technology.
Yeah,
When people say, well, here before long, you'll be able to tell what kind of fish it is.
we can now.
I'm like, guess what?
Just because you can see them don't mean they're gonna bite it.
Still got to catch them. I mean, there's
Still
no
gotta
doubt.
catch 'em.
Still got to catch them, and the fish are getting smarter, and that's why people without it are really struggling catching anything, because there's people with it struggling because the fish they're getting smarter.
But they still have the advantage. The fish.
Oh yeah.
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 Yeah, the fish
A
still
lot
have
of
the
things got to
advantage.
come
They roll
together.
over this way. Yeah, that's gonna be
We
pretty.
just get the kayakers to put them on the kayaks.
Yeah.
They'll have to be in business.
There's guys doing it. They, a bunch of guys fishing the tournaments have live scope mounted on their kayaks.
Yeah.
I would. I
Yeah.
had one.
Yeah.
It'd be hard for us to go fish now without it.
Yeah.
If you've used it a while, it'd be extremely difficult to go from catching. And there's days without it, we've caught 150, 200 crappie a day.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't know that you can do it now. Now that we know you shouldn't be moving that rod, I don't know how many times, or every time we fished, we used to drop that thing and jig it.
Twitch it, yeah.
And
Don't do that.
not knowing that that fish is looking at it, as soon as you twitch it, he took off
Oh, yeah.
the other way. Now you move that thing and they're gone.
Yeah.
Any abrupt movements, I mean, you can pull.
I'm a
Anything slow, anything you do slow, you're all right. But if you jig that thing, it is gone.
You know how hard that is to explain
I don't
to
know
some
how
people?
we caught a fish at all before
Yeah.
we had it, because that's all we did is jigged it.
Back then, when you jig it, though, they'd eat it.
They'd eat it.
I bet now that they've got immune or used to this,
I'm-
So,
getting smarter.
Yeah. I'm nowhere near the expert you
But-
guys are, but
We still got a lot of crappie in the lake.
Yeah.
We got a lot of crappie.
Oh
So,
my gosh.
you know, I don't think they can ever do anything with a live scope, but or the hummingbird or whatever. But you know, I foresee them changing limits or link limits. Which on Truman Lake right now there is so many crappie, and I know they put out nets and do that thing with crappie. Let me take you out there with my live scope and show you how many fish is in this lake. That net does nothing if it's not in the right spot. When they're noodle fishing or these jugs for these catfish, if they're not in the right spot, you're not. There's places on the lake that I'd never crappie fish because I know I'm not going to catch none there. And if you got a net in that spot, you're not going to catch nothing in your net, you know. So
Isn't that wild how you can look back and say, okay, Richard, from the power lines to Bucksaw, 5 spots. And you say, boom, 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 boom. Have you ever fished here? No. Why? Because there ain't no fish there.
correct.
That's just how it is. I mean, we all know it. You know what I mean?
That was before live scope.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And you can take your live scope there now and say, boy, that's right all the time.
Yeah.
They're not there.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's weird how it's like that.
No, this lake right now has got more numbers of crappie. I can take you to one little pocket right now where that umbrella's at. I can show you 1 million crappie in it. Guaranteed.
How many crappie been caught out of that Otter Creek up in the ground?
Thousands, a million.
Millions. Millions.
Millions
I've caught a
every
bunch
year.
of them. Yeah. And they keep going.
I mean,
They're
there's
still
just,
there.
and you pull in there, there's 10 crappie on every tree,
Yeah.
still.
Yeah.
Good ones.
It's just, I mean, all the creeks are like that.
Yeah.
Well, not all of them, but a lot of them
Most of them. Yeah.
are like that. They're just full of them. And then you get that lower end, it's just,
It's
you'll
terrible.
think it's a cloud of shad. And then next thing you know, a couple of them break off. You're like, well, that's just a
It's all crappie.
freaking 10,000, 11 inches.
They were like that. They were like that right past the Long Shoal Bridge out in the wide open lake. I mean, just big wads of them. And you just throw out there. I had a trolling motor like 8 one day. 2 clients on the front of the boat just flipping crappie bombs out both sides, just catching them on nothing.
Yeah. It's
We
unreal.
got crappie.
There's an unbelievable amount of crappie.
Live scope is not hurting crappie at all.
You've got crappie, we've got carp, we've got gar, we've got
Lots of
drum. We're hurting
Buffalo, man, and buffalo
We
everywhere.
got tons of white bass, tons of stoppers.
Yeah, you go to
A
those
lot of
things,
spoonbill.
lot of buffalo drum.
Buffalo, man, golly.
JB, I want to hear about the high school bass fishing. And so, for you guys that don't know, JB works up at Everhart. So, if you've been in Clinton, been up to Everhart, you've probably seen him there. He's on the Clinton bass fishing team. And I wanted to hear a little bit more about your experience with that, how long you've been doing it, what it's like. Tell us, there's some serious scholarship money to be made. And just tell us about it.
Yeah, so we started it last year. Kevin LaFavor, the head football coach, he bass fishes, so we finally got a guy who would get it up and running. I helped him get it all sorted out. And mainly it's kids who want to get into it, don't really have the resources or the connections to go out there and chase checks like some other kids do. And bass fishing in Clinton High School is a lot less than people think. It's me and there's a few other kids that do it, but it's mainly crappie. So we had 15 members in it last year and 3 teams that would travel around, me and my partner and then 4 other kids. And me and my partner, we struggled. We didn't really kill them. We weighed in every tournament, but we didn't win nothing. And then the other kids, it was their first tournaments and they didn't weigh in. But as the year progressed and we were posting pictures on Facebook, a lot more kids were joining. And we started the Facebook page and a lot more kids saw it and got interested in it. And just getting them out there and getting them into it will definitely make
What
them
is the
improve.
Facebook page called?
Just Clinton High School Bass Fishing Team.
Okay.
That's all it is.
Okay. And it's parents that they're the boaters?
Yep, parents. We got a couple other guys that just fish, that boat for other kids, and they got to go through a background check and a whole process. But older guys that are retired and looking for something to do, there's a lot of guys that boat for us.
Yeah. And you travel all over Missouri, Bull Shoals, Lake of the Ozarks,
Bull
Table
Shoals,
Rock.
Table Rock, Pawnee, Stockton, Truman, changes every year. Like this year, Truman sucked really bad, so they took it off the schedule for next year. But it changes every year.
It was real high water, wasn't it? When that happened?
I don't think, I might have
Maybe it
been,
was really cold.
it was a little cold.
Something was wrong that weekend, I remember.
I thought it cold and rain.
Yeah, it was something bad weather or something.
I think the Saturday before, so with the division we fish, NYFA, National Youth Fishing Association, they have that, and then there's a PTA the Saturday before. So all our tournaments are on Sundays, and that's where the boater is fishing with the 2 kids. And I believe the PTA, it was cold, raining, and then the next day just kind of put them in a funk. I mean, we caught 1 fish, I think like the second cast, and didn't get another bite the rest of the day.
Jeez.
And 3 days before, we had like 15 pounds in 3 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how do you get in it?
It's their website, or the team, or
On the team?
on the team. All you got to do is come find me at school. Kevin, he left. He went to Chilhowie, so it's me who's running it now. But just come find me, and we don't charge any membership fee or anything. We got some sponsors who gave us money for jerseys and all that. Got all that taken care of. Just come find me. I'll put you on the list. We'll find you a partner and a boater. And that's it. Keep it short and simple.
Buy a rod and a tackle.
Yep, that's it.
What do you guys, like, if you had someone that was out there that wanted to help out, what kind of stuff would you guys be in need of? Fishing rods, tackle?
Yeah, rods and tackle. There's a lot of kids who don't have much. So rods, tackle, reel, line, just all that stuff. Life jackets, stuff like that really helps them out. We got all the money for hats and jerseys and all that figured out, but just little things like that really help a lot of the kids out. Getting a little higher end rods in their hands and some more baits and all that in their hands really helps them out.
So the way it works is you're not actually winning money like these guys
Nope.
are, but it's
won't allow it.
but it's you can win scholarships.
Yeah, and big scholarships. The championship this year was $105,000 scholarship, first place.
Yes.
And Drury University is the one who does all the scholarships. I think they gave out almost $300,000 in scholarships in the championship.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Nice.
How
Really
many
good.
teams were in the championship?
There was 103, I believe, in the championship. They take the top 40% of the field, and there was usually each event pulls around 300 boats. That's high school and middle school.
Yeah.
So it's a really big event. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I know one of my sponsors, Gorilla Grips, actually come on as the FA
Yeah,
sponsors.
at all the weigh-ins, they have a booth of Gorilla Grip gloves that all the
Yep.
kids can go up there and grab as many pairs that they want. So that's pretty cool.
Yep,
Yeah.
and we got some booths set up now that the proceeds from whoever buys, the public, when they buy a pair, proceeds go to the NYFA, so it's pretty cool.
So when you're fishing Truman Lake, what's what's your favorite thing to be doing? Are you in the dirty water? Are you down in the clean water? What do you?
I fish a lot up the Palmy. That's just where I've had the best success. I'm a shallow water angler. I suck at fishing deep, so I like going way up and flipping with a jig and throwing a square bill. That's what I'm considering myself to be decent at. And
How many times Darren taking you fishing?
he's taken me once.
I took him once, and it was probably the worst day of fishing I've ever had in my life.
We said a lot of
It
bad
wasn't
words
that he
day.
was a bad partner.
I hit a lot of docks.
I couldn't catch anything. I don't know if it's from him hitting all the $150,000 boats with his jig. No, it was just a bad day. We fished a big bass bash down Lake Ozarks.
Cool.
Took
We
it down.
caught fish. You caught a lot on a wiggle board.
I'm
You
not
wore 'em
going to
out
tell
on a
him,
wiggle board.
or he already knows. When they come to Truman, ask him what happened in that deal. Ask him who he listened to and who he didn't.
I didn't listen to him. I didn't get any money.
Ask him who his partner fished with the weekend or the day before.
Yeah, my partner's his nephew, and we didn't listen to him. He listened to me, and we
They went
sucked.
like to the other end of the lake.
I was
Far
on
as they
good
could
fish
go.
there. And I told Jared, I said, nope, we're not listening to him. We're going to prove him wrong. And we didn't prove him wrong.
Dude, that is my favorite. I know Richard gets this all the time, but we'll have people call us and they'll be like, hey man, you know, my wife hasn't fished in 26 years. She just had 3 babies in 2 weeks and I really want to put her on some fish. Like we get this call all the time, right? They're like, well, just go down there to G12 and run that fence row and you'll catch them in there. And then you see them 2 days later. They're like, hey, you put her on them fish the other day? Like, no, we didn't catch any. Like, no kidding, they were there. You know, I'm like, I can't believe you didn't catch any. Well, we didn't go down there where you told us.
We went over on the
We went up there where we caught them last summer.
This is way
Why'd you-
worse than that.
Why'd you call me?
You know, and I
This
did
is way
listen to
worse
you.
than that because I took him and we caught him.
We listened to you at Table Rock, and we sucked there, too.
Well, that's
All our fish came out deep
You are
on Carolina
fine.
River.
Yeah, you are
But
fine.
the lake was terrible conditions. Bad conditions.
I fished Truman. This is Truman Lake Intel. We don't talk about that.
They can drain that lake for all I care. I hate it. I hate it.
We got some members that are Table Rock fishing
Oh, yeah.
intel.
There's only one thing you need, or 3 words for Table Rock bass fishing. French fry, split shot.
That's right. Split shot, drop shot. French fry, split shot, drop shot.
So tell me, what's the biggest bass you've ever caught on Truman?
On Truman, I think it was around 5.5. I don't get out on Truman as much as I'd like to. Busy working. By the time I get out of there, get
Yeah.
home, get the boat hooked up, I only got an hour. But
Yeah.
mid 5s, I'd say.
Did you caught that in a big bass bass?
Yeah, I was a $500 fish, 3rd flip of the day.
Nice.
With Jeff, we had about 18 pounds that day if we were fishing an actual tournament. We had a good day that day.
And that was what, over in the Palmy? Your favorite spot?
No, we were in the Tebow.
Yeah.
We were in the Tebow.
Listen to Darren, didn't you?
No,
No.
they were in one of Brock's holes and
Oh, okay.
John Nick's holes.
Mm.
Well, I might have told him to go there. I don't know.
I
I
was-
think Hook found it. Jeff Hook already
Yeah.
knew this spot.
Yeah, I was asleep on the way there, so I don't know if he talked to anybody, but I woke up and was in a boat, so.
Well, that's pretty neat. Now, you've done a lot of the kayak stuff.
Yeah.
And you've gone to several lakes kayak fishing, which is great. I want to know about your Truman Lake kayak fishing and what your experience has been, what your different tactics are when you're in the kayak.
So the kayak fishing definitely made me a better angler. I was stuck in one position. I couldn't be like Darren in my fancy boat that runs 80 and go all over the lake. But I was stuck. I know I did have a trolling motor on my kayak, which helped, but I was stuck in one area. And I knew those fish were there. I just had to figure out how to catch them. So I found myself slowing down, fishing a lot slower, not necessarily what I caught them on, but looking at the bank. Why was that fish there? Why did I catch that fish? I'd go over, find something that was similar, start catching fish. And I'd just make mental notes and figure those fish out. And it made me a lot better of an angler for
Yeah.
sure.
Now, one of the benefits of the kayak is being able to get into some areas that you can't with a bass boat. So on Truman, I mean, you're going into areas up in the Osage, up in the Grand, and getting way the heck back in there.
Yeah, there was a guy that he had 101 inches with the biggest Missouri kayak one day record.
So talk about that too. Did you say 101 inches? Or like, do you had a 101 inch bass?
So we all go by length. It's all, everything's run by an app, Tourney X. You have a board and you lay them fish on that board, take a picture. You have to have your location and everything turned on, so you can't be cheating. And then it uploads to the app. There's a live leaderboard, so you can check all throughout the day if you're winning or if you're, what you need to catch, and 5 fish by length. So 80 inches, about the average. It's 11, 12 pounds, somewhere in there. But there was a guy at 101 inches on Truman, way up a creek, which it was like a 25, 26 pound bag. So it definitely puts you in areas where other guys can't get to.
Yeah.
But are you going to catch a bigger sack than some of the guys in a bass boat? I don't think so. Just, you're stuck in one area.
You got to catch that sack out of one spot.
Yeah, you got it. It's a lot of luck. It really is.
Yeah.
Pick the right spot and hope for the best.
Yeah.
That's a lot of what it is.
So the way that
Sounds like regular fishing. Every day.
the way the app works, if I understand, especially in lakes around Truman where there's not good service, is that it will still work to take the picture, and then when it does get service, it
Yeah, so
uploads.
you don't have to. So it's called sandbagging, what they call it. There's guys that will have like 90 inches of fish and wait till the exact last minute to post their fish. So when you catch that fish, you don't have to instantly put it in. So if you don't have signal, you can just wait until you get signal, or you can put it in what they call the live well, which just stores that picture there. So yeah, and if you don't have service, you can wait. And if a lot of times the app has mess ups, then all you gotta do is call the tournament director, and he has a way of looking at it to where you tried and turned it in and get your fixed up.
So is there like a strategy behind, because what he's talking about is these guys have these awesome fish that they're waiting to the last minute to make people think they don't have the fish. Is there a strategy behind that? They're just psyching people out like they're having a bad day?
Yeah, they want to ruin people's days, mainly. I had one tournament on Stockton and I was in second place. And I was like, this will cash me a nice check. And then I looked at the leaderboard as soon as I got there, I was in like 15th. Guys just started putting in their fish. And there's a lot of guys who do that, but it's part of it.
Yeah.
I guess there would be like a reason. Like if I'm in a spot and there's another kayak
Correct.
angler there,
Yeah.
That is
like,
part of
I'm
it.
not gonna upload every fish because he's gonna know I'm catching them.
Yeah.
Like I know like these guys probably do too, but even like crappie tournaments, I turn the beeper off on my scale because I don't want anybody to hear me weighing fish. If we're fishing around each other, toss me down in the bottom of the boat. You don't hear that scale going beep, beep, beep every time you lock a weight in.
Where I'm the opposite. I do a dance and go woohoo if I catch a 10-incher, just so
Yeah, I hear
people
there.
think about it.
Well, they get another pounder over there.
Just so people all come over there and I go take their spot.
Very funny. So on the kayak side, you do have a trolling motor, or I mean, not everyone does. I assume most people have the little,
Yeah, a lot of guys either have a pedal drive or they put a motor on it.
and you can do the spot lock, all that, just like
Yep, spot lock, head and lock, GPS, everything.
Have you seen some of these kayaks?
Yeah,
There's guys out there with $15,000, $20,000 kayaks.
Yeah,
I know there's one guy in Missouri who fishes, it was like an $11,000 Hobie, live scope, he had two 12-inch drafts, I mean, everything. $3,000 torpedo on the back. He'd go like 5+ miles an hour in his little kayak, which ain't a lot, but in a little plastic boat, you get scared,
yeah.
especially on Truman.
And Everhart's has the Old Town kayaks. Is that correct?
Yeah, Old Town and New Canoe is what we carry.
Yeah.
Old Town's what we sell the most of. They're a really sweet boat.
Yep.
They got one of everything, anywhere from $1,000 all the way up to $4,600.
Yeah, and does that include electronics?
No.
Or that's just the
Just
trolling
bare boat and whatever comes with it. Trolling motor, seat, all that. And we work deals out with people. If you buy a boat from us, we knock money off all the accessories and stuff you buy from us. So we try and help everyone who buys a boat from us as much as we can.
Well, and kayak fishing is a major growing segment of
Yeah.
bass fishing. The barrier to entry as far as cost goes is a tenth
Oh,
of a boat.
And that's why I think it's so big.
Yeah.
What'd they have? 50, that one Fosno won this summer, was it 57? That was a championship event.
So it wasn't the champ. So Everhart's hosts an event called the All American Kayak Series,
Okay.
and we started it 2 years ago, and we had almost 200 kayakers show up. First time we ever hosted, which is really big for a kayak tournament. And then it was in the fall. We were getting bad weather, so we changed it to the spring. So that was the qualifier, but we did it so we had a tournament in 2022, and then the next one will be in 23 in the spring. But yeah, he won that qualifier, and that was a small event. 57, I think there's something like that, 60 boats in it. But that All-American, it's like $11,000 first place. It's a big event.
Yeah.
A lot of people coming through.
So when it comes to techniques in the kayak, because in one of the only bass fishing tournaments I've ever competed in. I was in a kayak up on Lake Jacomo on Lee Summit, and I was in one of those Hobies lent to me that's like one of those little pontoon Hobies, which I thought was super great. And in reality, my issue was when I got that bass landed, there was no like hole to like for that fish to lay down in. I lost 2 fish that day that I would have won the thing. That I had them on my board and they start flopping. So I want you to kind of go through like, how do you prevent, because you got to put them on that board and hold them. I mean, that's a kind of a process when you're by yourself.
Yeah, so one thing I do, especially with your bigger fish, you get, an 18, 19, 20-inch fish. Just whack them on the side real quick.
Like Richard says, you whack them on the grab. Quit moving.
But one thing, so you got the catch board, and a lot of these boats, they're designed to fit that catch board pretty flush. But one thing I do is I put a net on the left side where their head is, because every time they jump, they're going this way from the weight of their head. I can't tell you how many times I've had good quality fish jump and they'll land right in that net. So always have a net sitting right there. I've seen a lot of guys say a lot of bad words from having a big old fish jump off. It's always the left side of the boat.
What if you had one of those metal fish stringer hooks like tethered to your canoe, and when you catch him, you hook his mouth and then set him down and wait, and that way if he comes off, then he's kind of tethered to your boat.
You have to have it. They're really strict on where you can put your hand on the fish, how the mouth has to be closed, tail has to be straight. There's a lot of rules into it, so it has to be flush against it. You can't have anything in front of
I'm
it.
with you.
You about need something like, what's the crappie deal that you...
Easy checker.
Easy checker. An easy checker sign.
That'd be nice to have.
To keep them from...
And the bass you catch, you can put in there.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. I don't check I go with that one. I can use an 11-inch worm, and they're not that long. Pitch them back.
How old are you?
16.
16. How old were you when you caught your first fish?
Probably like 4.
Yeah.
Do you remember your first fish?
No, I grew up fishing with Dad, just on the ponds, bank fishing, and...
So they didn't catch very many.
No.
I grew up fishing with his dad, too, so we didn't catch very many.
But I just always loved fishing.
Yeah.
And that's... I seriously started fishing around 10. I was consistently going out there and putting a whooping on the old man. I'm like, he kind of sucks compared to me. Got a big head on me. Started fishing some tournaments and started it way too young. Way too young. Just I got burnt out. But
when he got in my boat, it was embarrassing. I called his dad and said, "What is wrong with you? You need to get some control over this boy. I had a box of swim baits that cost more than anything in my boat. He could have bought a boat with that box of swim baits."
You throw the swim bait on Truman a lot?
Not really on Truman. It just doesn't set up as good as like Table Rock, Bull Shoals. But it is in the smaller conservation lakes around here. It's definitely something that a lot of guys need to look at more. I mean, a lot of guys look at a 10-inch glide bait and that's way too big. But these fish eat it. I mean, I've had fish smaller than my glide bait come up and smack it. It's just another presentation. And with as popular as fishing is, I mean, all these fishing jigs, spinnerbaits, chatterbaits, and throwing that big presentation right in front of them, that just gives it a little bit different action. I've seen a lot of fish just come absolutely unglued on them. It's a lot of fun to fish them.
Why don't you throw it on Truman, just because there's so much trash to get hooked up on?
It's part of it, and I just...
water bait.
You need clear, clean water. So
There's guys that throw them in the lower end. I know guys that fish tournaments with them.
Oh, yeah, I'll throw them. I'll throw them up in the Pawnee. But I've had fish follow them, but I don't think I've ever caught a big swim bait fish on Truman.
And when you say clear water, because we know Truman up in the arms, like a foot of clarity is really good. If you get 2 to 3 feet down in the lower end, that's pretty good. I mean, are we talking lakes that you need 10 feet of clarity type of stuff?
Yeah, 5. I'd say 5 minimum.
Yeah.
It's just, the bait's silent. And it's just gliding right through the water. And it's a sight thing. These fish will just come from 50 yards away, see that giant bait gliding, and they'll just draw right to it. The drawing power that those baits have are insane. Yeah. And they'll just come out of nowhere and just hammer it.
Interesting. Well, that's pretty cool, man, and really excited to just see how you progress in the high school deal. And what's one of your bigger events coming up?
In the fall, my season's pretty much over. I'll fish the Big Bass Bash. I ain't fishing with this guy because he can't put me on fish like my other boaters can. But our season starts back up in March through June, and that's pretty much my tournament season. Yeah. And in the winter, I target big fish. I throw big baits and try and catch bigger fish.
What are you gonna be doing this fall? You gonna be chasing some big deer?
Yep, deer hunting and get out of the deer stand, and I go right to the lake.
Yep.
go try and stick a big one. That's
Yep.
all I do in the fall. When I'm not working, I'm either in the deer stand or I'm on the boat.
Yeah, yeah. Well, JB, that's a lot of really cool stuff, and wish you luck here in this coming year.
We're gonna see what we can't do. We're gonna try and put our heads down and do a little bit better this season. Try
Yeah.
and cash a couple checks.
Yeah, hell yeah, man. Well, and speaking of events, there is a really big event coming up in September, and
For Truman, it's a big one.
yeah, Toyota Series. Darren's gonna be in it. For folks that might join the website here in the next month just to kind of get some information, the lake's probably gonna be a lot different a month from now.
Yeah, it'll change a bunch between now and then.
What's it pay?
It'll be based on entries, but it'll be that 30 to 40,000,
You buy a couple swim baits.
25 to 40.
Yeah,
But
About the box.
non-boater pays a new boat. It's a bass boat for non-boaters, so it's pretty stiff entry, but it's a big tournament. It's, the bigger boys come fish it.
Who's your non-boater?
It's a draw.
Bigger boys as in Elite Series anglers?
There'll be a few fishing. Like the Hibdons, they'll all fish it, and some of them guys like that will fish it. There'll be a lot of locals fish it. Not a lot. There'll be several locals fish it.
I may fish.
Cause
fish it.
And the reason they're
Can we use
fishing it,
minnows?
the reason they're fishing it's because it's really the first time it's ever come here since
Right.
back when the Bassmasters used to come here. But and it might not come here again. It depends on how it is.
mm-hmm. Well, like 3 weeks ago, I think the tournament director was all worried about the lake level with all the rumors that were going around. They're going to drop it to 699, which we know is going to take an act of God for that to ever happen. So there's not going to be any issues there. If you had to pick a few baits to be throwing here in the next month and into September, balsa, square bill.
Yeah, square bills will be good. Worms will still be good. Jigs will be good. Your basic stuff. If we get a cool snap, spinner baits will be firing up then.
Yeah.
There'll be some spinnerbait fish caught. You get the cool snap, you'll have to back off the balsa. They'll get off that balsa in a hurry because you're kind of getting to the tail end of the balsa bite.
Yeah.
So but the lake will be crowded that weekend. That's the 7th. What is the week of the 17th?
Yeah.
There's that Bright Fish
Yep.
Futures tournament. There's Toyota. There's like 4 or 5 other bass tournaments that same weekend.
Poor bass.
It's
I bet they all
loaded.
get caught.
That won't be very many.
At least we'll get to look at them. This is a good weekend to do a study.
Yeah.
So there'll be a bunch of them.
Where's what marina is out of, do you know?
Sterrett Creek.
Sterrett Creek.
Yeah, that one's out of Sterrett Creek. Then there's one almost out of every marina, I think, that weekend. It'll be a busy, busy lake. The Toyota actually starts competition on Thursday. So there'll be guys practicing, but Thursday and Friday it'll be fairly calm, and Saturday you don't want to be on the lake.
Do they have a cut?
They have a cut. They cut to 25 for Saturday.
So the first day of the tournament's Thursday?
Yep. Thursday, Friday, and then they cut to 25 for Saturday.
You off all that week?
I don't know, because the very next week I go to Mississippi,
Oh.
Grenada, for Crappie Masters.
He'll probably be back to work on Friday.
Yeah, I'll probably be working Friday.
You better listen to your partner.
Oh boy, that'll be bad. My wife won't be proud of me if I'm back to work on Friday.
Work one day and leave town and go to Grenada.
Yeah. So, no, I doubt if I take off. The thing about Truman is a lot of holes.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll fish a lot of holes, especially that time of year. Them fish will be shallow and on flats and on isolated structure.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got a lot of isolated structure that I just know where it's at, and it's underwater and it's hidden, and I don't want to show nobody.
Is your stump in the Grand set up
My
pretty
stump
good?
in the Grand, if it maintains this level down to 6 inches, I'll catch a keeper off of it every day.
No, you
Guaranteed.
won't. I'm gonna be there every day with the course.
What's up?
What are you doing here? How you doing?
So you have 10 pound, I have 20. I'll get that cork broke real quick. Right off the bat.
So Jelinek and Rinkemeyer have been on a little streak here the last couple of weeks with some 18 to 22 pound sacks. What do you think on the old Toyota Series? I know it's a 3-day tournament, but you think that kind of weight every day is going to be what it takes to win?
No, I won't take that. Won't take that at
Yeah,
all.
yeah.
I don't. That time of year, I think somebody catches 16 and 14. If he catches 30 pounds in 2 days, he's going to be right there at the top.
Mm-hmm.
And but the thing is, there'll be several guys with that. So it's going to be, crappie tournaments are always decided by ounces. And I think that time of year, you'll see that decided by ounces.
Yeah.
Because the big fish just get really hard to catch that time of year. Now, we're back to the weather and lake level. If it changes or say it comes up and gets in the bushes and, and that spinnerbait cools off, that spinnerbait bite gets going, it might be right back to 20 pounds
Perfect
a
storm
day.
type deal.
Perfect storm stuff. But for the most part, normally on Truman that time of year, that's kind of the dividing between the good fall fishing and the summer.
Mhm.
They'll be in that movement, and a lot of times it's a 15-pound stringers. They'll do it. There'll be a lot of 12 and 13-pound stringers caught. A lot.
Yeah. They expect, or do they know how many boats are already entered in it right now?
Yeah, the deadline's coming up pretty quick. So yeah, and I don't know how many. I know you have to have, if you want a guaranteed link, which as a boater, you can enter any of them. Anybody can enter. They just pay their entry fee and enter.
Mm-hmm.
And the same way as non-boater, but you have to link together. It don't mean you fish with them. Matter of fact, it means you won't fish with them.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a way they get more non-boaters to fish and more boaters. So like I just got on there, they have a Facebook page.
Mm-hmm.
I just got on there, said boater looking for non-boater link for Truman Lake, and I think I had 4 or 5 people
Mm-hmm.
hit me. I just took the first one and
Mhm.
we entered, and I'm linked, so I'm guaranteed a non-boater.
Mm-hmm.
Now at that level, I don't believe they'll put a boater on boater because the entry fee's pretty steep
Mm-hmm.
in that thing.
What is it?
It's a lot.
2,500?
No,
for
not
me
that.
a lot. Maybe not a lot for you. 17.
1,700?
Mhm.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot. That's what my wife says. You just went from normal poker to high stakes poker.
Yep.
So
Pull in there, pull the
the
handle.
world fishing deal was what? 5 something a day?
500.
Yeah. But you only needed one day.
Yeah. Yeah, I only needed one day.
So if they put boater on boater, do you share the boat?
If they put boater on boater, which I don't think they will in this, but they do in the BFL level,
Right.
they'll put boater on boater, and it's like the old red man. Flip for boat, flip for who starts, who runs it
Who
the
runs
first 4
over.
hours, and they get it the second 4 hours, half and half.
Right. Oof.
And so a lot of guys get upset about that, but they push you to find your own link.
Right.
But sometimes it happens, and it's the way it is.
If you never eat a non-boater.
You have to pay.
Huh?
You have to pay.
I thought you were paying.
No, the non-boaters is like $800 entry fee in this thing, but they're fishing for a boat.
So
You're
yours is
bringing
17,
minnows.
his is 800?
Yeah.
So it's 2,500 a boat?
Yeah, but you'll fish. I'll have a different non-boater each day.
Okay.
So if you qualify for all 3 days, you'll have a different non-boater each day. Last day, you get the same non-boater that's in the same place you are. So if you're 10th, you get the non-boater that's 10th.
Okay. I like it. 800 bucks for a non-boater?
I think it's 800 for a non-boater.
Shoot.
So, well, it's a guide trip. You're getting an 8-hour guide
800
trip.
bucks.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's at least.
You're getting a
a
guide
half a
trip,
day
but you got an opportunity to win all your money back,
Mm.
plus some.
And some, yeah.
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 And that's what it is. And if you go in as a non-boater, a lot of these guys won't because it's the next level up.
Yeah.
A lot of these guys are actually there to catch fish. They're not
Yeah.
there really to learn.
Right.
BFL level, when I fish them, most of them guys there are there to learn. They're there to see what kind of rods you use, how you fish them, where you're at. Some of them are there just to learn how to run the lake.
Yeah.
And they've never been on that lake, just learn how to run it. It's just an all-day guide trip, is what it is. If you go into it with that mentality and you get lucky and catch 5, you can win yourself, $5 grand.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But if you go into it that I'm going to learn how to run, how to do something. That's what I did. That's how I started. I used to start fish to Heartland's. I fished the Heartland's amateur side.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I learned how to run a lot of lakes. I fished with a nighttime guide at Bull Shoals. Never been on Bull Shoals in my life. He had a 20-foot boat with a 150, and we run way up the river. It was so foggy you couldn't see. I was scared to death. There was boats idling all around us, and we never slowed down. He knew we was going between islands that you couldn't see. He's a nighttime guide. He'd run it for years. And it was before electronics. He just gone. And we got up there, and he won the tournament. First time I'd ever been with a guy that flipped trash mats. And he absolutely lit him up and won the tournament. And you know, I caught I think one fish, but I mean he's flipping little mats as big as that chair.
Mm-hmm.
He already had them flipped before you get there, but I wasn't there to win. I was there to learn.
Right.
Yep.
It was a neat experience.
Having those other boats around flying by those, that'd be
It
the
makes you a little nervous.
that'd be the freakiest part for me. Well, boys, I think we covered a lot of really good information. Really appreciate y'all as always. We expect things to continue to be pretty good. You know, like you said, heavily dependent on the lake conditions. As I think one of the most important takeaways from tonight on, you know, on judging what the fishing's going to be like. So, you know, that's one of the things we do talk about lake conditions quite a bit in the fishing reports, and we will be sure to continue covering that. If you guys have any questions for the future videos, future fishing reports, whatever, feel free to shoot those in to the website on the contact page. You can message the Facebook page, and you know we'll be sure to cover those, and we'll get them answered right away anyway. So really appreciate all of you guys who are members. We are coming up on our 2-year mark on August 14th. It's hard to believe, and it's pretty cool just seeing how the website has progressed. We are over 2,000 members now between our free and paid members, but we average close to 70,000 visitors a year on the website that come to find all of our free information that we put out there, along with the information that's part of the premium website. And you know, we hope to continue this for years to come, and all of you guys watching this video right now help to make that possible. So thank you very much. We appreciate it, and we'll look forward to catching you guys on the next one.